While you were asleep, the NBA basically lit itself on fire. A scandal, a big one, broke out, one that might actually shake the entire league. Missed the news? Here's the quick rundown. According to Pablo Torre's investigation, Kawhi Leonard signed a $28 million endorsement deal for a no-show job with some shady tree planting company. A company that, get this, was bankrolled with $50 million straight from Clippers owner Steve Ballmer. Documents confirm it. You don't need a PhD in economics to see what's going on. This wasn't about trees. It was about money under the table, sidestepping the salary cap, and giving Kawhi more than his max contract legally allows. And if you think, hey, maybe that's not too bad, hold on. There's a nasty little clause in that contract. Kawhi only gets paid as long as he's wearing a Clippers jersey. Come on, that's not even subtle. So, what's the penalty here? History gives us a clue. The last time something like this blew up was 25 years ago, when the Minnesota Timberwolves were caught sneaking around the salary cap to sign Joe Smith. Their punishment was like this. 5 first-round picks forfeited, 2 were later returned. $3.5 million fine. Smith's most recent contract voided, bird rights stripped. Owner Glenn Taylor suspended. GM Kevin McHale forced to take a leave. That was a quarter century ago. Since then, most tampering cases have ended with nothing harsher than losing a second rounder. But this Clippers mess feels way bigger, too noisy, too public. The league's credibility is on the line here, and with it, future sponsor money. Some outlets are even calling this Adam Silver's defining crisis. His response could shape both his personal legacy and the entire league's direction. Media voices? Everywhere. Even future U.S. President Stephen A. Smith couldn't resist chiming in.
I saw this report, and it said, money for doing nothing. I said, that's what made me pause. Not because of Steve Ballmer, not because of the Clippers, because of him. Because if there's a way for this brother to get money, guaranteed without working, that's what that brother has done. That's what I'm saying. Now, I know he's injured. He's not taking time off. He's injured. But my God, I haven't seen too many people as gifted in taking time off as Kawhi Leonard.
The Clippers, of course, denied everything, but it's too late. Just hours later, rumors started buzzing. Kawhi could be declared a free agent, the same way it happened with Joe Smith. And now 29 teams are circling, watching every move. But here's where I cut in. I don't think all 29 teams should even bother. In fact, there's one team that should stay as far away from Kawhi as possible. The very team that raised him, made him a star, and then got stabbed in the back. It's been 7 years since Kawhi stormed out of Texas, and the wound still hasn't healed. Every few months, his name pops back into Spurs conversations like an old scar that refuses to fade. Last season, home fans booed him so hard, Popovich himself had to grab a mic and beg them to stop.
Excuse me for a second.
Pops on the mic.
Stop all the booing, let these guys play. It's got no class. It's not who we are. Knock off the booing.
Pop telling the fans to lay off Kawhi Leonard. But that's not said in.
Or take this summer. Rookie Dylan Harper picked jersey number 2, the number Kawhi wore, untouched since 2018. Some Spurs fans hated the connection, called it a bad omen. Others were confused why the number wasn't retired already. Either way, emotions are raw. 8 years later, this story still lingers. Why? Quick refresher for anyone who scrubbed the memory. Kawhi was a Spurs homegrown star. They traded away fan favorite George Hill just to draft him. He didn't arrive as a superstar, more like a role player with potential. But the Spurs, they believed. They molded him into a 2-time DPOY, an MVP finalist, and a Finals MVP. A number 15 pick turned into one of the league's most dominant forces. And more than the trophies, it was about the bond. He fit San Antonio like a glove, quiet, hardworking, allergic to drama. He embodied everything the franchise preached. People honestly thought he'd play his entire career there, bridging the gap between the aging Big Three and a new Spurs era. But then came the villain of this saga, Uncle Dennis. Even Spurs fans today twitch when his name comes up. His mission was to get Kawhi out of small market Texas and into flashy Los Angeles, and he'd do anything. The excuse they chose were injuries. Kawhi insisted Spurs mismanaged his health and refused to play. His last season, he played just 9 games. Veterans like Tony Parker and Manu tried to talk to him. Pop did too, and a lot of times. But Kawhi wouldn't budge. He wanted out. So the Spurs traded him. They had no real choice. His contract was expiring, and he clearly wasn't going to play. The return was like this. DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and a protected 2019 first-round pick. Compare that to what OKC got for Paul George at the same time. Shea, Danilo Gallinari, 5 firsts, and 2 swaps. A young star, a rotation piece, and 7 picks. And Spurs got scraps for even better player. And here's the kicker. The injuries that kept Kawhi off the floor in San Antonio magically healed in Toronto. He played, dominated, won a title for the Raptors, and then, just as Uncle Dennis planned, headed to the Clippers in free agency. Of course, changing teams isn't the crime. It's the way he did it. Cold, messy, calculated. He left San Antonio with nothing. No star to compete, no stockpile of picks to rebuild. He wrecked their short-term future and muddied their reputation. Even some Spurs fans believed his side of the story. Now, 8 years later, with new details pointing to Clippers tampering and hints Kawhi wanted out as early as 2015 or 2016, maybe it's finally time to close the book. Because let's be real, every time Kawhi's name comes up in San Antonio, it feels like someone digging at an old bruise. The Spurs have moved on, whether people realize it or not. They've got Wemby, an actual generational alien dropped into their lap. They've got Harper and Carter Bryant coming in. They've got a foundation that, if we're being honest, looks more exciting than anything since 2014. Meanwhile, Kawhi, he's on the wrong side of 30, his body's a question mark every single postseason, and now this Clippers scandal has his reputation wobbling harder than a folding chair in a hurricane. That whole silent assassin mystique, it doesn't hit the same when everyone's whispering about shady contracts and backroom deals. And maybe that's the point. It's time to stop letting his story hover over San Antonio like a storm cloud. The Spurs weren't villains in that breakup. They developed him, they gave him the stage, and when it became clear he wanted out, they did what they had to do. Looking back, it's hard to say they could have played it any better. So instead of clinging to grudges or wishing for karma to knock him down, maybe the healthier move is just letting go. Kawhi's journey is his own, messy as it may be. And the Spurs got a clean slate and a brighter future than anyone could have imagined. He doesn't belong in black and silver anymore, and that's fine. Spurs fans don't need to cheer for him, don't need to root against him, just accept that chapter's closed. The next one's already being written, and for the first time in a long time, it feels like a bestseller.